Right for your communities, not white men. I wonder who is saying this. I'm not surprised. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. Alan, if you have the story up, let's look at this and we will comment on the backside, as they say. From the Reporter, this is from Rebecca's son. Hollywood is finally paying attention to Indigenous creatives. The prestigious filmmaking program, though which several of the biggest names have passed, is working to make sure the moment lasts. This is inside the Sundance Native Lab. Now, by the way, I've been going to Sundance since the 90s, and they have this program called the Frontier. It's the Frontier track.
Mm-hmm.
Frontier is like Indigenous people and stories that are from indigenous creators. And can I tell you, I've been to those screenings. Nobody shows up. Nobody shows up at Sundance. The people are interested in seeing the movies with the big celebs. And this program never gets attention because both the media and filmgoers don't seem to be all that interested. Sad but true.
White people do better. That's all I can say.
I'm just saying. Now, I've been to those screenings. I want to see different voices that have something to say. Not the movie that's going to open on HBO Max next week, anyways. Right?
Yeah. And Sundance is not supposed to be about the big films opening up in the next few weeks or next few months. It's about the indie films from indie creators such as Indigenous communities, Native American communities, and First Nations peoples.
Just, I want to see something I haven't seen from a new creator, but they don't get attention. I'm sorry. It's the audiences and the media that really aren't supportive. But let's read through this story here.
Okay. Let's skip the first paragraph.
Skip it?
Yeah, it's just the details of the event.
Yeah. Okay,
here we go. So right there. Yeah. This year's cohorts of 4 fellows and 2 artists in residence convened with the Sundance Indigenous program team and 4 industry advisors in the city in early May for a week of script readings, one-on-one sessions, and more formal breaking of the bread. Through it all, one point of discussion continuously emerged. Who are you writing for? It's a question that could arise in any screenwriting class or course or workshop, but it's particularly urgent among Indigenous communities around the world, especially at the time when there have never been more, a non-zero number of Native-led projects crossing over into pop culture mainstream. Put another way, how should Indigenous artists today navigate an industry with unprecedented opportunity and appetite for their stories while preserving their narrative sovereignty? For all the relative gains, Hollywood's most profiled depictions of Indigenous people are still largely controlled by white creatives and center white characters, from Martin Scorsese's Killer of the Flower Moons to Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone franchise to Kevin Costner's Horizon. Some of the struggles has come from the spotlight in Hollywood on Indigenous communities right now is we're often asked to be cultural consultants when we actually have so much more to offer creatively as storytellers, says lab fellow Shireen Pilar Gomez. There's a specific relationship all of our people have had with film, like not particularly great, but it's gotten a lot better, and it's because people have been telling their own stories, says Indigenous Program Director Adam Piron of recent highlights, including Reservation Dogs, Echo, Peacock's Rutherford Falls, and Dark Winds. Creatives from all 4 shows have Sundance ties. So you want to end it there?
No, that's enough. I think the problem is, I think the whole thing, if you want to make a story that a lot of people want to see, it's got to appeal across it's got to appeal to a cross section, right? And this whole thing of like right for the white man, like, look, stop. The film industry, entertainment, yes, there are established distributors, whatnot. No one is stopping or preventing anyone from calling themselves a producer, raising money, and making movies. No one, not you, not me, not Alan, not someone who's any type of ethnicity, not someone who's straight or non-straight or male or female or whatever. No one is stopping you. Greenlight yourself. And this idea that they have the native lab to lift up is I don't know, just produce yourself is my philosophy, and foster an entrepreneurial spirit. The most successful indie filmmakers, they're just entrepreneurs, and there is zero barrier to entry. Zero. There are countless examples of whatever you think of him, Kevin Smith, among others, who were like, I'll just tell my story. Why does this, you can uplift without, being disparaging of a particular type of person. And that I object to. There's a crazy, weird disdain that, and it affects the work. It affects the work that does not, we've seen it in mainstream things. So, I bristle when I see something like this. I'm like, it's again, these type of headlines. I hope the tide is turning. These type of headlines go away. That's not the right attitude. That's the glass half empty attitude. The glass half full is you are capable of doing anything you want, fulfilling your dream as a filmmaker, you are capable of telling a story that appeals to all types of people, that you can make me feel empathy for your story, even though I don't look like you. Tell that story and change the world. Nothing is stopping you. Alan, your thoughts, and we'll go to comments.
Yes, my thoughts. This idea of a Sundance native lab, write for your communities, don't write for the white man. I'm kind of in the realm of they're half right and they're half wrong. They're half right in the sense of, don't write for the white man. Write your story. This is, you have a story you want to tell. The first thing you shouldn't do is say, well, now how do I adapt this so that white people will like it? But at the same time, if you want to make billions of dollars on your movie, you got to appeal to white men. You got to appeal to white audiences. You got to appeal to Latino and Black and Asian audiences, which means you have to tell a story that crosses cultural barriers. And we mentioned Coco. I know very little of the Day of the Dead, and I know very little of Mexican culture except for the food, obviously, and living in Southern California. And so my connection with Coco culturally is very thin, but the overall theme, the theme of family, the theme of family honor, that's something that I could relate to, and why Coco is as great a movie as it is. That is what you're looking for. If you have a story to tell, the broad appeal and the broadest success will be, how will your story relate and connect to people who are not like you, including white men?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was going to say Coco, one of my favorites. I connected to the family element, to the grandmother. And I remember getting so choked up at the end. And I, again, like you, didn't know necessarily. I mean, I love Day of the Dead art whenever I see it around Halloween. I love it. But I was drawn in by the things I could connect to, which are universal. So the whole, again, so like you, it's like, just, you don't have to have disdain for a certain group that probably would help your movie be successful.
Yeah, that's the irony of this. Don't write for white men, so you don't want to make money. If you are writing to specifically exclude a certain group of people, and in this case, the largest the largest segment of the population that spends money on movies, then don't expect to make a lot of money with it. If that's your attitude going in, you should not be concerned about whether white people will like it or not. You should just focus on your story and make it universal. Because I mean, look at that. That statement is racist. Let's just be open and honest about it.
I like that you say it's racist, so I don't have to.
Yeah. Look, if anything I create, I want everybody to enjoy it. I'm not going to specifically exclude people from that. Like as much as I've done shows and I've done performances with very liberal, left-leaning woke people, but they know deep down they need Christians to come in. They need conservative Christian families to come in and watch that show too, if they're gonna let this show survive.